As I'm sure you've all heard by now, Grant Thompson, the king of random, is dead. He died in a I've heard different paragliding or paramotoring accident. I think it was a paramotoring accident a couple of weeks ago. And there have been many, many tributes to Grant for probably continuously, pretty much, for the last couple of weeks. I did not know Grant Thompson personally. He certainly didn't know me. But he was his channel and his personality, his confidence, and in some cases an almost childlike curiosity. He was clearly a very intelligent man and very much an adult, but he maintained that curiosity that it seems like a young kid would have. All of that inspired me more than I can ever say. This isn't gonna be a long video. I feel like other people have said much better than I am probably likely to say. They've said maybe everything that really needs to be said, but I do want to add my name to the enormous list of people who were influenced, whose lives took different turns because of the King of Random. Real quick story. When I was in college for the third time and trying to decide really what I was going to do with my life, this is probably close to seven or 8 years ago maybe, I saw Grant Thompson, King of Random. I didn't know him as Grant Thompson at the time, but I saw him do a video where he took like an electric, battery-powered drill, and he disassembled it and reworked it and turned it into a hand crank generator for a cell phone. At the time, you might look at that and think, where's this going? What's the point in this, But I loved that. I thought, this is the coolest thing. Here's a guy who, he's a DIY type of dude, right? And he's, even already then, probably one of the more famous of the DIYers, and he's doing something that just seems totally off the wall, but it was totally the kind of thing that I would do if I ever thought I could, What? You can take apart a drill and make a generator? Like, this is really cool, So that's just one example. And the reason I think maybe that spoke to me so much was because I have, in my head, I have millions of different ideas that I would love to try. And, Grant Thompson influenced many different people in many different ways. But to me, in some ways, it was like he was giving me permission by doing that video, and by doing so many of the videos he did. He was giving me and millions of other people permission. Just explore, just have fun. If you have an idea and you think that people, forget about what people are even going to think. You just think you're going to have a fun time doing it. Do it, record it, and put it online, put it on YouTube, and see what kind of a response you get, And I just thought that was so cool that he was able to inspire in that way, I had seen some other funny channels, people just doing weird stuff, But Grant Thompson always seemed to find a way to bring it back to something practical. But a lot of times it would build, and he would do something else with it, and then do something else, and then do something else, and pretty soon he'd be like, launching a super rocket down his 500 yards down the street or whatever. So anyway, because I have a wide variety, huge range of interest, and it made me think maybe there's a market out there for for a little bit goofy but also fun and practical type of YouTube channel that explores a lot of different aspects of DIY and a little bit of science and some different things. So one other story, my brother, probably 6 years ago, when my kids were real young, he built a Grant Thompson metal foundry. So he was melting down aluminum, and I thought it was the coolest thing. My kids thought it was the coolest thing. And it would be another 3 or 4 years before I kind of did anything with that. But that is how this channel became what the channel is today. Because that interest, that seeing how easy it was to build a metal foundry, that got me curious about some other things. Well, if you can build a foundry, how about a forge, you know? And in fact, the burner on this forge up behind me it's a modified Grant Thompson design, okay? So at that time, when I was ready to start this channel as a knife making and forging and general DIY channel, which it kind of hadn't been before, and I hadn't really done anything with it. But at that time, the inspiration was ultimately a few people, you know, Alec Steele was in there, and Simple Little Life, and a few others. But Grant Thompson, at the end of the day, none of any of this would have happened if it hadn't been for his inspiration, and the inspiration that he was to me, and the inspiration he was to my brother. So I'm one of millions. I mean, it's not an exaggeration to say millions. I'm one of millions of people who were touched and impacted in a positive way by the channel, by the King of Random. And I think all of YouTube and really all of the internet was impacted in a positive way by the King of Random. And there are other people out there who have done way better tributes probably than my stumbling attempts here. And I would encourage you to watch some of those to realize, to recognize the impact that he had, and then go watch some of his videos and you can see why. If you're not familiar with King of Random, you know, go and watch his videos. I would say they're addictive because of his personality, how excited he is to learn. It's just, he has a really neat style of presenting the audience with his excitement and sharing the excitement of discovery and of experimentation. And it's amazing. I mean, I could go on and on for hours. I am going to wrap this up because there are others, like I said, who've done probably a far better job than my rambling. But I wanted to add my voice. I wanted to say, of the millions of people who were touched by Grant Thompson, yes, the ones that he was close to, the ones who knew him, the ones who would talk to him on the phone or wrote letters back and forth, or he had done collaborations with, of course, those people have a much higher place in this, in these tributes, okay? Because they knew him personally and they could speak to that. But I think there's a place too for the millions of us who did not know him personally, would have loved to know him personally, but did not have that privilege, but who were inspired by his life. So, without rambling any further, let me just say, Grant Thompson, the King of Random, is dead. Long live the King.